All right, we'll move on to our last topic here before we end this. I don't think we've been going on too long. Kamil Jozwiak signs for Charlotte FC from Derby on a designated player's contract. How much does it help Charlotte?
It's not saving their season. I could tell you that off the bat. This is not a signing that's going to, connect all the dots for them. I don't think Charlotte are terrible. They're not FCC bad, that's for sure. I think kind of like what we were talking about when we were on the live stream, they're just missing a playmaker, really. I don't think Jozwiak is that guy, but I think I don't see this signing helping them that much. I still think they missed the playoffs. I still think they look pretty poor this season. But I mean, I guess might as well try something. I know that they were rumored to get him a while back. Like I think prior to the season starting, then he got hurt. And I think now they're finally able to bring him in. So I know it wasn't something where it's like a move now to try to like fix the problem. This was like something that was planned prior to I think the season even starting.
Right. I was going to try and make some weird comment about Charlotte actually technically being worse than FCC, but they're not. They both haven't scored a goal, and Cincy have given up more than them. So that's depressing.
Well, I think Cincy has one goal at least.
No, they don't.
I thought they scored against Austin. It was 5-1.
Austin played Inter Miami.
Yeah, and first week they played FCC.
And beat them 5-0.
So it was 5-1. Yeah, you're right. It was 5-0.
I know I'm right. I'm never wrong. You know this.
Come on, man.
Charlotte needs somebody to put the ball in the net. Going back to our conversation. But the law of averages, right? Nerds, numbers. Law of averages say you put the ball in the box enough times, the ball's going to go in at some point. Karol Swiderski is a goal scorer. He can put the ball in the net. Jozwiak will help put the ball in the box for him to score. They probably need somebody that isn't Jordi Reyna to help him out. But
here we go. Jordi slander again.
You throw the ball in the box enough times, it's going to go in the goal. Jozwiak also has 3 goals and 22 caps for Poland, and he's 23 years old. It's not like they're bringing him over and he's kind of washed up and done. And they needed a player at this spot. They needed a winger who could do something. They had Mackenzie Gaines as their like right winger for the start of the year. So they needed somebody to fill that role. And I think it's a good signing. What I really want to see is him have a very similar impact that Johnny Russell did at SKC. Come out of, the championship, be really explosive on the ball, have a really good drive. When you're on the ball, move off the ball, create some space, and really create a lot of good opportunities. And that's what I'm hoping that he brings there. Now, again, I have not watched him play. I don't keep up with my Derby County football. I'm sorry. But I did pack him in FIFA 20 as a team of the season card for Lech Poznan, which means he has to have some sort of ability because that's how the world works. But my question,
I'm gonna jump in right here and let you know that this is probably our first topic on this news segment that we actually disagree on, because I don't think this is a good signing. But we could dive in more into that. You can ask the question first, and then we can.
No, I was going to move on, but why don't you think this is a good signing?
Because his numbers have been horrendous the last season and a half in the championship.
Numbers only matter when they matter to you. Is that what I'm hearing?
No, I mean numbers never lie. So his numbers last season, 41 games for Derby County, was 1 goal and 3 assists in 41.
He was injured, right?
He had 41 games.
Yeah, probably on and off out of injury. You can't get into a rhythm.
He had 2,700 minutes.
You can't get into a rhythm if you're injured.
It doesn't. He had 41 games. That is a ton of games.
For Derby County, you're not. Oh my God, are we about to do this?
What? What do you want me to
talk about? His Lech Poznan time? All right.
His Lech Poznan time was a different league. And it was also
So is Derby,
years
so
ago.
is the championship, and so is MLS. They're all different leagues.
Okay,
Congratulations.
but you wanted
I'm
to
glad you
compare him to
answered that
Johnny
out.
Russell.
You
Johnny Russell
absolute melon.
had 19 goal contributions for Derby, and then he had 6 and 11 in one season with Derby, and then he had the season after that 9 and 10. So it's not, Johnny Russell was putting up numbers and with Derby, and then he eventually made the move over to MLS. But and I have his rating here on SofaScore because he wasn't on Who Scored, and SofaScore for last season and this season gave him a 6.6, which at best is bang average. I'm not taking bang average for my designated player signing.
I want to make a comment that I said Johnny Russell from Leeds for some reason. I don't know why Leeds was in my head, but I apologize. But anyways, back to you being wrong.
No.
You're wrong.
I'm not.
17 goals, 17 assists for Lech Poznan in the Polish league. Moves over to Derby. How many of those games, how many of those appearances did he go the full 90? Not a ton. Also, did Derby get relegated?
He got majority of these games here. But I would say at least more than half of the games he played that season. He went 75 plus. That's plenty of a sample size. I'm looking on Transfer Market.
Hold on a second. Derby are bottom of the league.
What, are you talking about this season?
Yeah.
They're not bottom of the league this season.
Derby County are, okay, I'm sorry, they're 23rd out of 24th.
Yeah, because they had a 21-point deduction.
All right, let me ask you this. Oh, wait a second. You're right.
They would be like 15th without it or something.
Yeah, no, you're right. I'm sorry. Again, I'm thinking of a completely different team.
I'm not a fan of this. I think I wouldn't be as against it if he wasn't a DP. So I kind of hope they bring him in and buy him down. But I don't like this as a DP signing. I think you should aim higher than this.
So here is my, and we'll move on to the next part. Is he worth the designated player distinction? You're still wrong.
No,
but I also may not be right. This is not MLS 2.0. We need to look at designated player slots as a long-term move, and here's why. MLS teams are consistently getting more Garber bucks. Every year there's an influx of more and more Garber bucks, and there are two different types of Garber bucks for our non-MLS friends from Charlotte. TAM and GAM. Your GAM, well, your TAM, TAM, targeted allocation money, is used to bring players in from overseas or inside the league. It's basically like trade money. Your GAM is used to help buy down your designated player's contract. I'm almost certain. Did I mess this up?
Who knows, honestly? I don't even think Don knows.
Hold on one sec. Let me just double check. Uses. I thought I had. No, I got it right. Come on, you beauty. Your GAM, your general allocation money, is used to reduce the amount that a player will cost against the salary cap, right? And teams are getting more and more and more GAM. So we can't look at designated player slots as a one and done. This person is locked in and you can't get another one. That is really important because he can be bought down from what we are hearing. He can be bought down to the TAM level.
As he should.
There wasn't a list of 9 designated players that Charlotte were just like, I'm going to get whoever I want. Right? So if it meant that to get somebody that they needed in a spot of need, to get him through the door, they need to put him on a DP contract for a year, by all means, get it. Because you can buy him down when you find out that you've got a designated player number 6 sitting in, I don't know, the Austrian fourth division that you want to go sign to a designated player contract, you can buy down Jozwiak and bring him in. So we can't look at it as, is he worth the designated player spot? Will he help the team? And if so, will he help the team immediately? Because they tried to get somebody before him. This is option number 2, by the way. Darwin Machis, the Venezuelan out of Spain. I was trying to think of the team name, but I couldn't remember. I could see the badge. I think it's Granada. Told him no. Like, I don't want to come play for you, which sent Miguel Angel Ramirez on a rant and a rave and a whatever. But I'm lost in my notes here.
Okay.
MLS roster rules are confusing, but they've helped grow the league in situations like this where designated player slots are not one and done. If it meant that it helped getting him through the door so that they could buy him down, go on. I'm all about it. And something to go back there, I think him and Swiderski are going to link up really well, so I think he will help the team. And I'm going to go ahead and say this is a good signing.
I still don't think it's a good signing. You have to hope that they buy him down, and in that case, then they have to spend either their TAM or GAM or whatever it is to buy him down. When you probably could have went and found somebody who can produce just as much as him and buy him outright on a non-DP contract, and then went and bought someone else that you could have bought down. I'm not a fan of it. I don't think his numbers of recent have justified a designated player spot for it. I get that they will probably likely buy him down, and when that happens, I think it'll be a more worthwhile move for them. But at the moment, as a DP contract for him, I'm not a fan. But we'll see. We will see.
We will see. Still feel really dumb about confusing Leeds and Derby. I'm sitting back. I'm like, how did I do that? But
they
that
both
tells
got
you
white crests.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I'll make up for it on the back end. But at the end of the day, I think Jozwiak and Swiderski will link up better than Swiderski and Mackenzie Gaines, right? I'm confident to say that having another Polish player in the locker room with him will raise his spirits a little bit. He won't feel like he's isolated. And again, I think if he fits the system that Ramirez wants to play, I think they're going to give him a lot of freedom. I think they're going to give him the ability to kind of make his own decisions on when to cut inside, when to go down the line, when to serve the ball in, when to cut in and have a shot. I can almost see him kind of being a free-flowing winger, false 9, number 10, kind of floating in that area there and letting his experience just work. So yeah, we should expect good things. A statement came out after his signing from I want to say the owner. Yeah, the owner of Charlotte FC. He played against Spain. He played against Holland. Can you play in Salt Lake City if you played against Holland? I think you can. Just give me something. Give me something. I got a whole thing here. I'm gonna let you go first.
I remember seeing somewhere. I don't remember if it was from Tom Bogert or if it was from someone in the replies to his tweet, but somebody compared this to people talking about Raïs and Mboli having World Cup experience before coming in for Philly. And I think that's great. That's a good comparison right there, because it's like, really, how much did that matter? How much did Raïs and Mboli's World Cup experience matter for him? It didn't. He was awful. I'm not saying that that's like the sole I just don't think comparing him playing against the Netherlands or Spain is a fair comparison to saying, oh, he did it against them, he could do it against RSL. I can name a ton of players that came to this league and did it against way better players and couldn't do it in this league. Frank Lampard, Andrea Pirlo, Gonzalo Higuain, Blaise Matuidi. These guys were, I mean, Higuain and Matuidi were training with Cristiano Ronaldo every day. I have yet to see them really like do a ton in this league. So I think it's a really dumb comment. It's totally, I don't think it's a valid comment to help justify that he can settle into this league super well. I'm not saying he can't, but I don't think that's the reasoning you use to justify that.
To answer the owner's question of can you do it? Can you play in Salt Lake City? You play against Holland? No. No, you can't. You ever heard the saying, can you do it on a cold, rainy night in Stoke? Stoke aren't good, but playing there is tough. There's a reason that saying exists. And as you mentioned, there are an insane amount of international players who have been top of the top in their national teams who came and cannot play in RSL or cannot play at Seattle because of the turf or cannot play in Colorado because it's a mile high. It's not the same as playing for your national team for one game for 15 minutes and saying you played against Holland. I don't know if that's a true stat, but I'm going to use it to sway my argument. This comes from a lack of knowledge of what it actually means to play in this league. Charlotte owners have not gotten off the East Coast. They played DC. They played LA at home.
Yeah.
You haven't gotten off the East Coast. You don't know what it's like to go and play Denver in a mile-high altitude, play at Minnesota when it's snowing, play at Houston on a 100-degree day and on a Thursday in July when there's 1,500 people in the stands and nobody's saying anything. You don't know what it's like.
Yeah. I
don't know what it's like, but I know better than he knows what it's like.
Yeah.
Just because you have a little bit of international experience doesn't mean you can make it in MLS. Do I think he's going to make it? Sure. But to come out here and being like, oh, he played against Holland, he can do anything. Shut up.
Let me add a little bit of context to that as well. Something that Europe doesn't grasp about MLS, that it is very unique to MLS, is the travel distance.
I wanted to bring that up too. Go ahead.
I just mapped it. So to go from Poland, I mapped it just Poland to Netherlands. I didn't pick a specific place, but to go from Poland to Netherlands is 636 miles.
Are you kidding?
To go from
to school.
To go from Charlotte to Salt Lake City is over 2,000 miles. That is over 3 times the trip to Holland. I'm telling you now, that has an impact. 100% that has an impact. If you are constantly traveling for hours on end and then having to get up the next day and play, it will have an impact.
I want to put 2 things onto this. During the 1 o'clock kickoffs today, you had 2 games that were under snow, with 1 game at 88 degrees Fahrenheit, a water break, and hail. During the 88-degree game, it overcast, hailed, moved out, back to 88 degrees. That's just the first one. Second one, LAFC had to come play in Inter Miami today at 1 o'clock. There's this thing that I don't think a lot of the Europeans understand. It's called time zone changes. LAFC were technically playing a game at 10:30 in the morning today, which means they got up to prepare for a game at 5 in the morning their time. They play games at 7 o'clock at night over there, where they can get up and get through a routine and get through a rhythm and do what they have to do. Can you imagine getting woken up at 5 o'clock in the morning and be like, all right, let's go. You got 4 hours to prep for a game. And then you just got to go out and play. Now, LAFC handled it and got the result they needed to because they went up a man, but it's not the same. It's not the same. It just isn't the same. The travel distance alone is massive. Not to mention, it's not the same play style as it is in Europe. It's not like, oh, we're going to low block. We're going to wait for you to come at us, maybe try and counterattack. We're going to press the hell out of you. We're going to scissor tackle you if you get by us. We are going to break you. It's not the same. And again, I think he will be fine. I'm not going to go and say, oh, he's going to fail because one stupid comment, but just because you played against European national teams does not mean you can go do it again in Real Salt Lake, in Houston, in Seattle. I mean, hell, even in New York City. You think he was playing Holland on a baseball field?
Oh, he was high.
He's gonna run over second base and trip. It's a different league. It is a different. It's just different. So check yourself, Charlotte owners. That's sad.
Yeah, I think from what I've gathered from this episode is that Charlotte does not understand this league yet.
Not even a little bit. They're owned by the owners of the Panthers, so they don't have any soccer experience in the ownership group. It's just money. It's a business decision.
Yeah, exactly that. But it's gonna hit them hard because they're gonna learn the hard way about how this league operates. And yeah, I think that's a good way to sum up this episode. Is Charlotte needs to get a clue on this league.
They really do. I
think
think
the fans have showed up. They've absolutely backed this team. The fans understand it. They get it. Time for ownership and managers to start getting a clue.
You're right. If you don't have an understanding of the players that make it work, you will not be successful.